You're an aerial guy?
No, I do. That's just me.
I know it's looking for conversation. I was definitely that guy that's writing 11.7.
It's like one of the last ones was doing snow. You're not gonna just go out
Oh, you
somewhere
can do anything.
driving because the snow
Well,
goes.
above.
Because you make me, you won't let me call out to work. For work when it's snowing, it's like, you're a ski coach, you can't. I was flying. Sometimes people have just part of your job.
And I'm like, Robin, hurry up. Don't stress or anything.
There's an emergency,
All
she's
of
a
us are
30-minute
sitting here waiting on you.
Like something's happened. Like send out the trooper.
We're just talking through the speech committee, like, I was all set with.
That's the trouble when you're never, you never are, or you're not there. People are like, okay, send out the rest of the crew.
Literally.
It gets noticed.
Exactly. Good evening, everyone. Will you please join me for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. The first order of business is action on minutes. To see what action the board wishes to take regarding approval of the minutes from the meeting held on November 25th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Just got a housekeeping thing. I noticed on the agenda, I think we dropped, we have Roman numeral 4, then it goes to Roman numeral 6. But I think maybe the chair, report of the chair or something ought to be Roman numeral 5, but it carries on the agenda too. So it's, someone online got 5 that dropped off.
It
wouldn't hold the show up, but-
Okay.
Just something like that. And then I guess while we're at it, out of respect for you, maybe I ought to say report of the chair versus this gender business of chairman.
Oh, that doesn't bother me.
Well, that doesn't bother you, it means you're normal, but I wanted to just say that, out of your, in your defense.
As far as I'm concerned, chairman's gender neutral, so.
Yeah, well,
But thank you, Scott, I appreciate that.
good to hear your perspective, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving minutes from the meeting on November 25th? Thank you. That's unanimous. Are there any citizen comments?
Appropriate time to be able to give an update. Good evening, everybody. For those of you, I haven't been here for a while. I was at one time on the board, but my current role is as the PTA president for the Telstar Middle and High School, and have been for several years. So I'm pleased to be able to be here in person tonight to just give a brief update. I apologize for not being able to be here last time. I did send Destiny an overview. She told me it was really long and she probably wouldn't read it all, so I'm not sure what you all got for an update. But I have just a very short update for tonight. I think it's probably obvious by now that we do cover both the middle school and the high school. So when the Telstar PTA was created, it was just a middle school PTA group, and it is now middle school and high school. And so there are 2-year terms for officers, and they are staggered. And so it follows the students and supports the staff for the whole building, as opposed to just the middle school. So that's something just that I always like to highlight. There aren't a lot of high school PTAs, but I think it's really nice and unique to our district. And it's been my pleasure to be the president for so many years. This will be my last year as the PTA president, so I just would like to say I looked up to see how many members we have thus far this year, and we're only at 17 members. So if we think about the fact that we're covering a middle school and a high school, that number is down quite a bit, even from prior to consolidating and becoming a PTA for both of the schools. There's a number of reasons for that. You know, we're all volunteering. I think the time we have, and time is precious, but just as community members and representatives of the board, we would love to see more participation, so spreading the word and just reminding people that there is a PTA here at Telstar would be great. I'd love to see that number increase, and we're going to be looking for officers too, so just, you know, it is something that is unique that I think is really kind of a gem. We've always worked really closely with the staff, and the other thing that we discussed, so I'll get into sort of our last month's updates. One of the things that we have been discussing is collaborating with Project Opportunity. So we periodically share with our parents who come, and you don't have to be a parent to be on the PTA. So any community member that comes, we periodically go over Project Opportunity as a program, the scholarship funding versus the grant funding, what opportunities are available to the students, you know, in our school building. And it never fails that it is a surprise to some people who say they're hearing that for the first time. And Project Opportunity is a really great resource for our students, and I can't say that enough. So I think right now we're working as a PTA on how we can collaborate with them financially and just sort of focus and mission based, so that we can be making sure that we're following the mission of the PTA, which is, you know, trying to help every child reach their potential. So we discussed quite a bit about Project Opportunity and how we might collaborate with them at our last meeting. You may have seen today, but as of today, there has been an announcement that there's going to be a date in March for SAD 44 at the Maine Mariners. That is collaboratively with all 3 PTAs, so the Woodstock Elementary PTA, Crescent Park PTA, and Telstar PTA are all sharing information, and there are discount tickets. So there is a flyer that's going around on Facebook. I think there's going to be some printed flyers put up in the school buildings. It's on Sunday, March 23rd at 3 p.m. There's a skate, post-game skate too, so it'd be kind of a neat opportunity for the students and the kids to be able to go out onto the ice afterwards. So those tickets are on sale, and we will be selling, we have on hand some Rebel Gear blankets, bleacher blankets, hats, socks, things like that. That will be when one of us is available. Those items will be on sale at the basketball games, so keep an eye out for those. We also periodically do what we call a Rebel Gear stores. It's through G&B Sporting Goods in Auburn, and we open it up to the public and try to share the link as much as possible. We just had a store close, and we had 14 orders on that particular store opening. And those items
are in as of last Friday. Our next meeting is January 7th at 6:30, and we do a hybrid online, so folks that can't be here in person can join us over Zoom or Teams, and for those of us that can be here, we meet here wherever there's space available, the first Tuesday of every month. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here from the public that would like to speak?
Oh, the CPS PTA. So, today and tomorrow, the PTA, along with some area businesses, have sponsored for all the kids at Crescent Park to go on wagon rides. They tried to do it last year, and we had some weather issues, but all the kids are going on wagon rides. It's like through Spring Street and whatever. And made sure that Tanya sent a picture to the Bethel Citizen today, to Ann, so hopefully we can share that, because it was really nice. We had a banner made up with all the area sponsors, that helped us do that through Deepwood Farms. So that was kind of our main thing. I'm not sure when the candles are gonna come in, hopefully soon. We do have some other things like a parents' night out that they've sponsored in the past that we're looking at doing. Yeah. Breakfast with Santa. I didn't go to Breakfast with Santa, but it usually is a huge hit, and I did see some cute pictures posted. I think it was, they usually have a really good turnout, so.
Who's playing Santa for breakfast with Santa? Who was it?
Santa, I don't know. I don't know, I did not attend that.
It wasn't
so
me.
it wasn't. Phil.
I used to do it years ago. That's why I was wondering.
Okay, well, when we need a volunteer, we'll let you know.
Do you want me to do the good stuff, right?
Do you have a report from
Well,
Destiny?
Destiny messaged me from her hospital there.
Oh.
She said to let everyone know that she is out of surgery and she feels terrible.
Oh.
I'm hoping this makes sense. I'm pretty sure she's on morphine right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pretty much you're right. The Woodstock PTA had a very successful and well-attended Cookies with Santa this month. It appeared everyone really enjoyed themselves, and we look forward to next year's event, my personal favorite event for Huntington School. As always, it's the first Friday in December. I'm assuming she means the PTA meeting? Or is that Santa? One or the other.
There's Cookies with Santa.
We do not plan to meet again in January, but will reconvene in February to plan for the family Valentine's dance.
I attended that, Cookies
The
with
Cookies
Santa
with
with
Santa.
my great-grandchildren, and it was wonderful. It's a big crowd.
They do such a
They do.
Any other citizen comments?
Thank you, ladies.
Seeing none, any board member comments? Stop.
A couple of general items. First off, month or two ago, I decided to attend all the meetings of the school board, all the committee meetings. So I did a hearing, and I want to thank the various chairs for allowing me to participate kind of as a semi or ex officio or something like that. But it's good, I like that, I like to go to the meetings, I like to learn things, like to know things, I like to understand things. So you gotta be in the room to really get the best benefit, so I do that. We had a great meeting, the policy committee had a great meeting, I thought it was a great meeting, it was spirited. I thought it was healthy discussion, I thought it was good demonstration of freedom of expression, which is guaranteed. I have some doubts or some questions about whatever we call the code of conduct, is it ethics or conduct?
Ethics.
To put it. So it sounds great, but I think there are some items in there that maybe ought to be looked at, and I'm gonna look at it. I remember when I first went to orientation with Dr. Murphy and Chairman Danny Whitney. I objected to certain language at that time, and I was told that's the way it is, and so well, okay, that's the way it is for now. So that's what I know now, and we just came up the other day at the meeting. I think freedom of expression trumps all other things, and we talked about a library book in here that may or may not be appropriate. A lot of defense of the First Amendment from our librarian, the Bethel Library trustees, ECIU of Maine. They all remind us of the role of First Amendment in our governmental process. So therefore, that's a wide open field at that point. So go over that. Committees are great. I've also decided to, on my own volition, to attend RSU 16. The school board there has ordered a review of cost sharing between Minot, Poland, and Mechanic Falls. I believe they allocate their local burden 90% value-based, 10% student count-based, and I decided, but they're now creating a multi-town committee where the towns send various representatives to discuss the cost sharing formula. We're moving towards an 85-15% distribution of local burden, where 85% of the assessment of the town is based on value, the last 50% on student count. Many people here already know that I object to that. I think the only way, it comes down to tax rate, and I'll bring a memo to the board, Madam Chair. I'm not gonna belabor it now, but I think we're really leaving money on the table. Newry is a wonderful jurisdiction, and it's the highest valued town in Oxford County. Also, well over, and my last time I looked at the commitment book for Newry, it seemed like 90%, upwards 90% of the value of Newry is actually owned by out-of-state interests. Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Boyne's based in Michigan. But when you work algebraically, when you work off anything but value-based allocation of burden, you're creating disparity in tax rates. But in our case, we're leaving money on the table because almost all the value in Newry doesn't even live around here. So as we pay more, so skiers in Boyne Corporation can pay less. There's something a little bit odd about that, and I'd like to, I'll bring information to the board. I won't belabor here, but I thank you for your time, and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Are there any other board members that would like to speak? Marcy?
I just want to say, I have always been a huge fan of our district. I think that the whole district overall does a really great thing. And I do like in different seasons of the time that I have within the district, I like to point out the things that are going really well. And so this particular season, we are doing the whole college application process, and we're doing, all of those things. And I have to say that our guidance counselor and Carrie Lynch have been absolutely phenomenal, and I feel like maybe they don't get all the credit that they deserve, but they have done such a wonderful job. I mean, they're emailing like, hey, don't forget you have an application deadline coming up, or like just really involved. They did a few parent nights where they did like college application information, financial aid information, that sort of stuff, which was like absolutely fantastic. They provide you with all these resources and people to reach out to. And I cannot say enough. They've been absolutely fantastic. So that was great to feel that support and comfort, because if someone's going into it not knowing any of those things, it's super, super helpful. So you're doing a great job.
Sure, Marcy. Are there any other board member comments? No? Seeing none, I have nothing to report this evening for the chairman's report. We'll move on to upcoming committee and board meetings. Our next SAD 44 board meeting will be Monday, January 27th at 6:30 here in the Telstar Library. The Education Committee will meet Thursday, January 9th at 3 p.m. in the Norway Savings Bank Conference Room. Finance and Negotiations Committee was going to meet last week, but that was postponed to tomorrow, Tuesday, December 17th at 5:30. And they will also meet Tuesday, January 14th at 5:30, both in the superintendent's office. Facilities and Personnel will meet before our next board meeting, Monday, January 27th at 5:15 in room 131 here at Telstar. The Policy Committee will meet Monday, January 13th at 10 a.m., also in room 131 here at Telstar. And then the Region 9 Cooperative Board will meet Wednesday, January 8th at 6 p.m. at the Region 9 School of Applied Technology for facilities. And facilities will not be meeting in Telstar room 131, they'll be meeting at the bus garage. And that is for their meeting on January 27th at 5:15. They'll be meeting at the bus garage. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. You're up for doing the Education Committee report?
I'm sorry, you didn't have anything prepared. but,
That's fine.
Well, I know that Ashley Thompson came in, like a sixth grade math teacher, to
Right.
discuss her experience with iReady. I just wasn't privy to the.
it was very,
Positive.
very positive, very good, very good. Learned a lot.
Thank you, ladies. For facilities and personnel, Mr. Kendall.
Yep, we went over a few line items. First of all, I was able to attend the Woodstock Selectmen's meeting, just to go over some concerns they had with some of the maintenance issues that they have seen, and just to make sure that everything, we're going through due diligence. And then we talked about how we can have better open line of communication, not only with them, but all the towns concerned. Just so there's no questions, or if they have questions, we can get answers to them in a timely manner. So it was good, it was eye-opening, and had a good conversation, but I think they got a lot of information from it, hopefully helped. Bus garage repairs, I talk about this every month, but it's literally just like paint, one window, and putting a heat duct back in. So there's really not much left, but it's still there on the report. Softball scoreboard, unfortunately, we did not beat winter, so that is being stored and held off till spring to put in place on the field. We did talk about some different ways that we could help with transportation director vacant position, so Mark doesn't have a fifth job, I'm guessing, on his plate. So RideSource has talked to us about how they can help with it, but just finalizing that plan. Those meetings are upcoming. And then there was a safe security assessment today at all the buildings, which is a federal program just to do an evaluation of our buildings, just to make sure they're in good working order, we're following different procedures, and giving recommendations for the future, see how we can do a better job. And then there was a roof leak at CPS IRC, which is a roofing company that was on site who we work with, and it was mostly due to ice dams, so we're taking care of those for now. And then the repairs are going to be scheduled for spring. And ice dams being removed should help with that.
Thank you, Brian. For the finance committee, thank you for that. For the policy committee, Mr. Barker.
We will be acting on two different policies tonight to present to the board tonight.
And Region 9 board, Mr. Brown.
The two new facilities that were under construction for the past year, the welding facility and the culinary arts / greenhouse. We toured them. They're supposed to be ready for us by January 1st. If I was a betting man, it would not be I could take that bet. They're just still just a shell. They run into so many complications with stuff they couldn't foresee, stuff that was supposed to be in the ground. The sewer pipe ran into something that wasn't supposed to be there, so that had to be redesigned. So there's been a lot of setbacks. And they also just started a brand new building out at the Concord Pond. They purchased that camp in I think it's 15 acres. And lo and behold, is a brand new 30 by 50 heated storage / classroom being built. And I'm not sure if that was part of the first grant. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if it was part of the original grant that they got to purchase the camp, or if they've gone in and got another one. But the money's still flowing. And there are still, we held pretty steady. We started with 43 students from it's at 44, and they're down to 41. They did point out Michaela Maury and an outstanding student in the outdoor skills and leadership class. So it's kind of cool.
Question in? The Concord Pond property, how does that fit into the educational program?
It's the outdoor skills and leadership. They have a place to meet. They have a place to store their equipment. They do a ton of stuff, and it can't be obviously on site. So now they have an off-site. They actually bus them from that facility in Mexico out to that site, depending what they're doing. But I mean, they purchase snow machines and four-wheelers, and it's mind-boggling where the money's coming from and what they're purchasing. Because being in public education and putting budgets together as a principal, it's like nickel and diamond, and it's amazing.
Is there any vocation that is leading to, like game warden?
Well, Michaela is got a heart set on being a game warden, but they'll come out of the 2 years that they spend, and again, it's an every other day 2-year program. with a guy's license if they successfully complete the coursework and stuff. So they can work, they can't, it's an apprentice guide license, so they have to work under somebody else, but typically what they do, they'll go on to a grade 1 school or something like that, or an outside, a biologist or whatever. But it's a start, it gets them outside.
Thank you.
And it's amazing what they have to cover. The instructor requires them to do public service, because if you're going to be a leader, you have to be a leader in your community, and so he requires public service, and they have to get a person that they do the work for, and it's a lot more than I thought it was. All you hear is, oh, these kids are out there ice fishing. Yeah, they go ice fishing. Yeah, they go snow machining. Yes, they do all that because they have to learn that to be able to guide it, if you will. But there's a lot more to it, which is it's good.
And we'll now turn it over to Mr. Kenny for the superintendent's report and correspondence.
Thank you. We have 2 appointments tonight. Allison Lassard is now a part-time custodian down at Woodstock. She has been doing it as a substitute role, but she's now taken on the actual half-time position. And also Woodstock, we were able to hire our 2/5 social work position, and Shauna Chase, who is a former Telstar grad, has the position down there, so she's there 4 half days, 4 mornings a week, either the 2/5 position. So they're excited to have her there. She's already invested with the staff. Allison's been there since last spring in the substitute role. Both are doing a great job, going above and beyond, and Woodstock is very happy to have them both there, joining the staff. No transfers or resignations tonight to report. We already had our PTA updates. The only other thing, as Mr. Kendall alluded to, you saw in the Bethel Citizen recently, the Woodstock selectmen asked him to come in and had some questions about the budget, and there were concerns about Woodstock not getting the fair share of the district budget and building maintenance as a means to closing the building, similar to what happened down the road in the neighboring district here. And I reached out to Mr. Deegan, who for a long time worked here in the district, who was quoted in the article, and just talked about what we are doing and tried to dispel some of the things that were assumed that weren't happening. We are having annual roof inspections from IRC. The same company's been doing it for over 20 years in the district. Ward Water is servicing the water filtration system, and it is working well right now. We are having our monthly water inspections taking place and reported to the county and the state. We have a couple projects going on in the future with some fascia boards, which, yes, they are starting to show some wear and tear and rot, but there are no leaks reported right now in the roofing. We spent last summer replacing 3 classrooms and the Kappa Gymatorium flooring with luxury vinyl and getting the carpet out of there. Along with all of the other buildings in our district, Woodstock is on the list, and we feel getting the fair share of what is needed and deserved, what's brought up in the inspections by the building administrator, and when Arlene goes around as the buildings and grounds supervisor to check things out. We're addressing it as it comes up. We have a long-range plan. We are investing money in that building. Our goal is not to be closing that building and to watch it fall apart. Our buildings are too valuable to us to do that. We have a lot of projects in our buildings. Our buildings, that is the newest building in the district. We want to make sure that it stays in good shape and services the students and staff there appropriately. We also want to make sure all of our buildings are in good shape. And it's going to take some financial investment in the next few years as our buildings age even more to make sure we don't have any major catastrophes or issues. I know there's been a lot of things in the news recently about air quality tests with different, things in Mountain Valley and Site 17. All of our buildings had air quality tests done this fall, this summer. And we did have some moldy carpet issues at both Crescent Park and at Woodstock, and we replaced those carpets. So we took care of that issue, and those are being monitored throughout so that we feel very secure and that our air quality is safe in all the buildings. So it was a good conversation with Mr. Deegan. Just want to make sure that, and he was going to report back to the selectmen, but just want to make sure that, everyone understands that we are not neglecting our responsibilities and obligations to those buildings, and that all the annual maintenance that has happened for the last 10 years is continuing to happen and happens on a timely basis. and nothing is being done differently in any of the, one building versus another with inside or outside projects. So hopefully that is something that all the towns feel comfortable about, but in particular Woodstock, since we brought up a couple of selectmen meetings, that they also feel that their needs are being addressed and that we are taking care of the building, because it's way more expensive to lose the building than to take care of it. And so we want to make sure that it keeps it in a good place. And this summer, we did get the old portable out of there finally, so that is off the grounds and makes a much safer and cleaner looking building to begin with. And it gives more playground space, which is never a bad thing. So those are all taking place, and as we enter the budget season and we go forward in the next 3 to 5 years, we are going to have some building projects coming up. We will continue to look at, once the state releases some revolving renovation money, if we can apply for and qualify for some grant money to help us with those projects, so it doesn't fall on the locals. But if it doesn't, we're going to try and pick projects that we can appropriately take on and make sure that our buildings are safe and open, and we're not having to shut anything down, because nobody needs that. And we don't have the space to, and luxury to do that, so we don't want to be in those situations. With that concludes my superintendent's report.
We do not have any old business to tend to this evening. We'll move on to new business. As far as I'm aware, we've made any adjustments to the agenda. Move on to number 2, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the second and final reading of policy JEA, compulsory attendance, and the policy committee will have a recommendation.
Policy committee recommends approval.
Thank you, David. We do not need a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving the second and final reading of policy JEA, compulsory attendance? Thank you. It's unanimous. Number 3, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the first reading of policy JICJ, student use of cell phones and other electronic devices. And the policy committee will have recommendation.
Policy committee recommends approval.
Thank you, David. We do not need a second. Discussion. And a reminder too that if this agenda article is approved, this is the first reading. So this isn't the final action taken on this particular policy. This will go for the policy committee again, and anything that is said tonight will be taken into consideration. Scott.
Question of the superintendent. Mark, has there been any feedback from the public, parents or otherwise? There was a little publicity about the cell phone business.
I have not been contacted by anybody since.
Student body made aware of it, student council made aware of this?
Yep,
this
I have not,
conversation?
since we had our board workshop, nothing has come up. So this went through the policy committee, they went back to the administrative team twice to get feedback and wording and tweaking. So what you have now is the most updated version of taking everything from the notes from the public workshop that we had, and all of your comments, went through with the administrators and adjusted things, and so redlined, red edits are in here to what everyone feels is the most appropriate policy going forward to bring, but this is the first reading, so this is a chance if there are any things that you feel that were misrepresented or missed or need to be added, this will be a chance to hear from the rest of the board before we go back to the policy committee in the new year, and then we'll come back to you again for a second and final reading at the January meeting.
Most of the changes basically just took out the consequences of what happens and puts it back into the student handbook development.
Yes.
Which is admin.
The goal was, if we put in policy and it stays, if you make any edits or changes, you have to come back to the full process. It's easier to have it in the handbook, which is published annually and updated annually. And it gives them the flexibility to address it versus having to change specific little details in the policy each time if a tweak is warranted.
To understand it, the policy allows student use of phones between classes, lunchtime,
At the high school level,
at the high school level.
yes, at the high school level.
At 8th grade and below, is it?
No access.
No access during the 7 hours of
During the school
instruction of the education period.
Just to sorry, just to
Sorry.
clarify, it doesn't specifically say what he said. It says, it's basically up to the administration's discretion. It doesn't say those specific areas or times, right?
Not
It
in the
says-
policy in the handbook, yes.
Okay.
It'll be listed
Okay.
specifically in the handbook.
And it could vary from classroom to classroom as far as high school goes, as to whether they have to put it
Yes.
in their sleeves or whether they can.
That's up to the teacher discretion.
So there's not going to be any earth-shattering changes for the students.
No. This policy is matching the current practice we're doing this year in the high school.
Just to finish my comments, the amendment brought forward makes sense given the current customs and practices. I'll vote for the motion. I'll just say it one last time, I think that the education period, we ought to protect that harder. There ought to be a sanctuary for education. I don't see where having electronic devices, personal devices, enhances education, and I think if it doesn't enhance education, it ought to be looked at very, very skeptically. That's 7 hours a day, 175 days a year, that's it. You know, you're only young once, you only get a crack at a decent education once in your life, and, you know, it's a concession to technology, it's a concession to accommodation. You know, if that's the way of the world, it's the way of the world, but I guess I ruefully make the observation, if it's education we're here for, which is what we tell the taxpayers, this is what the law says, that's why the kids are here because they have to be here, not because they want to be here. You know, we heard from Mr. Elliott, I believe, oh, we're going to teach the kids how to deal with life. Well, life's often about deferral of enjoyment. Sometimes you're deprived of things in order to achieve something more important down the road. I see the cell phones in the same category. Nobody's saying ban the phones, but that 7 hours of that golden time, are we really asking that much to take away a little bit of fun for that period of time? Maybe a kid might even read a book or something, or interact with his buddies. I don't know, that's it. You know what I feel? If there was a motion if anybody feels the same way, I can make a motion, you can second it, what have you, but I'm not gonna fight the herd, but I think we're embracing mediocrity over excellence. And thank you very much.
We are going to try and experiment for the high school during Winter Carnival. As an opportunity, we're going to ask the students to voluntarily turn in their phones for a day and see if they go for an entire day just to see what it's like. And if they're able to successfully do that, they can earn Winter Carnival points. So we're going to try a little social experiment to see, and just for the kids to experience it, if they've never done it, we're going to try it. That's something that the student council feels that they are kind of excited about to try and to challenge themselves to. For a lot of kids, they've never been asked to put their phones away for an entire day and have no access. So we're going to try and see how it goes and just sort of gauge and see what the student's reaction is afterwards and kind of go from there. So that they're going to try and tie it into a fun activity as part of Winter Carnival and see if the students participate voluntarily, but just social experiment. So.
Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approval of the first reading of policy JICJ, student use of cell phones and other electronic devices? Thank you.
You can stay in.
Well, I mean, you don't have to vote for it. You can oppose it. That's why, sorry, I caught your hand at the last, so. All of those opposed?
Cool.
All right, motion passes. Here's your time to shine, Cheryl.
I make a motion
for
that we
adjournment.
adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second? Imaginary, is there any discussion? All of those in favor of adjournment?
Join.
It's a different world out there.
I don't, this is what it is.